Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, group suspends flights for rest of 2019 in wake of deadly Connecticut plane crash. A Massachusetts-based educational group associated with a vintage plane involved in a deadly crash at Bradley International Airport has suspended its flight operations for the remainder of 2019. In a statement, the Collings Foundation said it has also canceled its Wings of Freedom tour for the remainder of the 2019 season. The group is in the process of issuing refunds for those who had reserved flights through December. Our thoughts and prayers are with those who were on that flight and will be forever grateful to the horrific efforts of the first responders at Bradley, the foundation said in a statement. The Collings Foundation flight team is fully cooperating with officials to determine the cause of the crash of the B-17 Flying Fortress and will comment further when details become known. At least 7 people died after a World War II-era bomber plane, which was associated with the Collings Foundation, crashed Wednesday at Bradley International Airport. Officials confirmed 7 other people were injured. Man faces federal drug firearms charge after Somersworth raid. A man faces federal drug and firearm charges after authorities raided a Somersworth apartment last week. James Howard has been charged with possession of ammunition by a convicted felony and possession of ammunition by an unlawful use of a controlled drug substance. Officials with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives found several different calibers of ammunition and narcotics that are suspected to be illegal when they raided Howard's apartment on Franklin Street early September 27th, according to a federal affidavit. Howard has previously been convicted of several felonies, according to the affidavit. Neighbors reported a heavy law enforcement presence on the morning of the raid. Officials have said no one was injured during the incident. U.S. Coast Guard searching for missing man and 3 children off Kennebunkport coast. The U.S. Coast Guard teams are searching for a man and 3 children miles off the coast of Kennebunkport. The Northeast Division of the United States Coast Guard tweeted Saturday that crews from Maine and New Hampshire are actively searching for a man and 3 kids, 10 nm, off of Kennebunkport, Maine. According to the Coast Guard, tweets the missing man and 3 children were reportedly aboard a 14-foot boat wearing orange life jackets when they lost communication with the Coast Guard. One killed in collision on Route 2 in Randolph. One person was killed early Saturday in a collision involving a car and tractor-trailer on Route 2 in Randolph. Police received reports of the crash near Durand Road about 2:45 a.m. The driver of the car died. The tractor-trailer driver was not injured. The identities of those involved have not been released. The collision happened near the site of a fatal crash in June that took the lives of 7 motorcyclists. Man sentenced to jail for 10 days after oversleeping and missing jury duty. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
A man who overslept when he was supposed to be serving jury duty paid for it with a jail sentence. The judge's stiff punishment now making headlines, and now the sleepy offender went before that same judge again. ABC's Diane Macedo is here with what happened next. Diane, good morning.
Whit, good morning to you. There was no oversleeping for this court appearance. DeAndre Somerville asked that judge to reconsider his sentence after spending 10 days behind bars for missing that day of jury duty. Now, DeAndre says jury duty was the first time he ever set foot in a courthouse. Now, after a new ruling by the judge, it looks like he'll be spending a lot more time there.
I've never been in jail. I'm not made for jail.
This young man is now working to clear his record after spending 10 days behind bars for missing jury duty.
This was an immature decision that I made, and I paid the price for my freedom.
21-year-old DeAndre Somerville was sworn in as a juror for a civil case in August. He was scheduled to appear the next morning, but says he missed his alarm and overslept. Rather than heading to the courthouse or alerting the bailiff, Somerville went to work, not knowing there would be major repercussions. A few days later, he was served with a summons and appeared before a judge. The presiding judge, John Kastronakis, said Somerville's absence delayed the trial by 45 minutes. The judge originally sentenced Somerville to 10 days behind bars, 1 year of probation, 150 hours of community service, and a $223 fine.
He made the decision himself that it wasn't important for him to come back to court.
But Judge Kastronakis is now reducing the probation to 3 months. Somerville's mother says she's relieved at the decision.
So I'm glad that everything was lessened. So I appreciate the judge for doing that.
Somerville now calls the experience a lesson learned.
I'm able to tell the next person who may feel like, oh, jury duty is stupid, I don't need to come. It's not stupid. It's a civic duty.
And the judge called this a classic example of good people making bad mistakes. He's now considering expunging the contempt of court charge from Somerville's record. One of the conditions for that, Somerville will now have to give speeches to potential jurors about the importance of jury duty.
10 days. I have covered so many court cases, and I've seen lots of people get less than 10 days for much more than not showing up.
The judge also emphasized that one of the big things was that he didn't notify the courts after. He didn't call the jury office and say, listen, I overslept, I'm sorry, what do I do? He just kind of carried on, and I think that was part of the reason for that.
Goodness gracious. Well, thanks, Diane.
Lesson learned, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye.